I'm so excited about this wine. For those in the chat, how many people have had a wine from Uruguay? I would love to know that, or a Tanat for that matter. This is definitely a little bit of a outlier in the crew today, to the point where we used our trusted friends at Google to provide you with this map to show you where Uruguay is. So basically, as you can see, like we're sandwiched between Argentina kind of to the west and the south, and then we have Brazil to the other side there too. Not unlike, for Lodi, where you have like this Italian influence. Uruguay also had an Italian influence there as well too, as well as a Portuguese influence. And you kind of see it kind of coming through in, obviously the prevalence of winemaking there at this point. But a few things that like I did not know about Uruguay prior to us chatting is, what other things are they known for? Fine wool. They actually export a ton of luxury wool to Europe to some really top designer labels, which is interesting. Wow. Ranch lands and beef, so not unlike Argentina and Malbec, right? And Tanat. They're very well known for Tanat. To kind of chat a little bit about sort of the actual property, which is visually absolutely stunning. It also, they're like, I would argue, the biggest nerds on sustainability. They were actually one of the first wineries. Well, no, they were de facto the first winery outside of North America to get LEED certification, which is cool. That's kind of like your Olympic gold medal of sustainability. They cover 6 different sort of pillars into what needs to happen, measuring things like water, electricity, all of those things. I love sustainability. I think it's a very important thing about winemaking, how we think about how we can be custodians of the land, but also during harvest in the winery itself too. So this kind of gives you an idea of the lay of the land. I think this is just like I love beautiful pictures.
What the heck? That estate is gigantic.
Right? But you can kind of see the undulating hills too, right? And in the far off in the distance, that's the ocean as well. So it gives you an idea, like you're getting those cooling ocean currents coming in there. So that's pretty neat. I think they're about 5 miles from the sea. And you're kind of getting these like undulating hills. So you're getting the little cool pockets in there as well too, which is neat for them as well. And then I really love this shot because I think it, like, we talk about sustainability a lot, and the actual cellars are actually carved into the side of the hill. And it doesn't really get much more carved into the side of the hill than having some rocks for your walls, right? What's cool about that is like the actual natural rock obviously absorbs water, so that helps maintain humidity within the cellar naturally, which is pretty neat. And yeah, they do all kinds of neat things with water management too. I mean, a lot of people talk about like water management in the vineyard, which is great. And they use drip irrigation to minimize, and you can like, water really lightly in the blocks that you need it to, and be really like, conservative that way, which is cool. But what I think is important too is actually in the cellar, how water's managed during harvest, because you go through heaps of water during harvest, cleaning things, right? Making sure that everything's clean and ready to go, whether that's bins, tanks, you name it. Hygiene's the name of the game, right? So that's really the biggest time of the year that a winery is going through water consumption. And when, at a facility like this, they actually are able to filter and reuse that water over and over and over and over again, which is pretty neato if you ask me.
That's cool. Thanks. I never really knew that much. I had this. I remember the first time I tried. They make this wine, and they make a freaking delicious Albarino.
Holy, the Albarino's stunner.
Yeah. So when you brought it into the club, I totally jumped up and down. This wine. You said it earlier, and I'm stealing it from you. I wrote it in my tasting book. It's a wild beast.
It is a wild beast.
This thing is a beast. It's blueberries, right? Cherries, and freaking meaty. It's meaty as heck. It's like floral and meaty and cherries all at the same time. Like raw. Like if you like your steak rare. This is a rare wine right here.
Totally. Like it's got that irony kind of flavor to it.
Yeah.
I find too, like, when people talk about, like, I remember when I started learning about tasting and whatnot, it's like the concept of like, oh, this wine's concentrated. I think this is like a textbook definition. If you're like, oh, what's concentration in wine? It is this. It's got some muscle, baby.
Yeah, I remember doing research on tannins in wine just because I was writing an article and I was like, what are the highest tannin wines out there? And fortunately, someone had done some research on the highest tannin grapes. There are some studies out available. And I remember seeing the difference, and everyone thinks of Cabernet Sauvignon as a super high tannin grape, and it is. And Tannat is like 3 to 4 times more tannin level in the grapes, you know, in general. I mean, when you taste this wine, it isn't 3 to 4 times more tannic. It actually tastes smooth and balanced, which is surprising for how tannic these grapes are. But that polyphenol, the levels of polyphenols are like off the charts. Polyphenols, antioxidants, the only thing in wine that's good for you.
Totally. It's crazy. And I mean, I think like that's one of the things where like Garzon's really mastered that tannin management, because these can be face melting tannins. And they're not like, I mean, this is a bold wine that has some really strong tannic structure, but it's like, I mean, you know, you could sip on this if you wanted to.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about this next photo because it's just so stunning. And also, who doesn't need a food pairing with this? Like, we've been talking about some delicious meats with the Malbec as well. But like, this is some of the stuff that they do at Garzon. It's just like, yeah, I would like to go to this barbecue party, please.
Wow. Yeah, sign me up. I'm there.
Right. But I mean, it's just like, when you see that, you're just like, oh, like I can taste the char just looking at that. And I can see how beautifully that would go with this wine.
I think you can order these wines directly from us if you contact club@winefolly.com. I think it's possible to get your hands on some of these wines. I don't know the details. I know we had some trouble with this part of it. We're figuring it out, but I think we have it mostly figured out. But do contact club@winefolly. Kelly will help you sort it out. Sort out your needs. If you want to upgrade your club, if you need help doing that, I know there were some people having fear of missing wine, not FOMO, it's FOMO.
FOMO.
So you're welcome to. We do have more openings for the 6-pack now. For the next shipment, I think. Is that right? You're the boss.
So, yeah, I mean, we'll keep a close eye on inventory. Yeah, we've got a little bit for the 6-packs left for sure. If anybody does want to switch over, that's definitely a possibility.
I see a question. Harrison Allen is asking what wines are generally aged in the concrete vats from Garzón. Based on the taste of this, probably the Tannat.
Yeah, the Tannat does see some concrete. So they have a really interesting, they do some single vineyard Tannats as well too that see a little bit more oak, but this does see some concrete, which, I mean, I think concrete's really exciting. I love seeing people use it a little bit more too. I mean, you talk about sustainability, cleanliness, all of those things, and you get that porosity, so you get that little bit of ingress of oxygen as well too. It's a cool vessel for sure.
That was my tannin face, sorry. It's like
you can see why we left this for the last wine to taste, right?
Tannin makes me smile uncontrollably just because it's so, like, I remember the first time I tried Nebbiolo and I was like, oh my god, this is what people are freaking out about. At first when you try it, you're just like, no, this is not okay. And then people are like, no, it's okay, you'll be fine. And you're like, wait, I can drink this? Okay, all right. I don't know. It's a scraper. Tannin, there's actually a study, I remember finding it. Somebody studied this. People get PhDs for this. This person studied tannin on the palate. And the reason why we get this astringent texture, like everything sticks to everything in your mouth, is because tannin actually pulls the proteins off your tongue from the inside of your mouth. All the saliva, all the proteins in your saliva basically get scraped off of your tongue. Now, if you can imagine, you have proteins and other things inside your body going through your digestive tract. They're going to get scraped off too if you keep a little bit of Tannat in your diet as like a half a glass or something like that. This is my justification for drinking red wine. You're hearing it right now. Just drink wine because you like it.